Hello and welcome to Deakin Open Day. My name is Tom, and in this session we'll be talking about property and real estate at Deakin in terms of undergraduate studies and also a brief look at postgraduate as well. So this is a discussion here about Deakin's property and real estate degree. There will be a question and answer session after this discussion as well. So we look forward to hearing all your questions and or comments on the degree. And we have a good team ready to help you with any queries that you may have. So it's an open day. It's all about tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about Deakin in property. My name's Tom Keel. I'm an associate lecturer in property and real estate. I cover topics such as sustainable construction, advanced property development, property law, and the first year unit of introduction to property. So even from that short list there, you can see that property and real estate covers quite a large spectrum of property related topics, way more than just being a real estate agent. It leads to some many different jobs such as property development, where you take a bit of land and develop on it, through to valuation, which is very popular, and a myriad of other things as well, which we'll discuss as we go through this talk here. During the undergraduate degree, the 3-year standard course, you'll cover many different things. We're going to look at that today. We're going to do an introduction of what the course is in general, a bit of an overview, look at the structure of it, the employability, in other words, how employable are you at the end of the degree, which we know is very high. Look at graduate employment opportunities and different roles you might consider, keeping in mind that this property degree goes way beyond the idea of being a residential real estate agent. It includes many other things such as valuation, which is very popular with our students, development, taking a bit of land, developing it into residential or commercial, for example, and many other things such as asset management. We often think about property as being new builds, but in any given year, 99% of buildings already exist. Therefore, we need a lot of people to manage them, and there's a lot of opportunities there. Further than that, you can travel the world. We'll look at pathways. Why should you choose Deakin? We'll look at that. How do you apply, and what can you do now to get into the degree? So the course, in essence, is property and real estate. The two terms can sometimes be confusing. Property and real estate talks about both physical and intangible things as well. So property, we know, is buildings and land, but real estate also talks about rights, the right to develop, the right to enjoy, etc. So we cover all of those aspects. This particular course at Deakin is Victoria's only 3-year undergraduate property and real estate degree. So it takes longer to do it elsewhere. We do it in a nice, succinct way. It's available on campus when there's no virus, and also, of course, available online, Deakin being the leader in online learning. So furthermore, we have accreditation from the API and MIX. We'll discuss that a little bit later, the importance of that. And it's the only Victorian undergraduate profit degree offered online. Perfect timing there. In terms of the overview, you can see here on the PowerPoint slide that there's different options. There is what we call the standard or the underlying degree, which is the 3-year degree or part-time equivalent. And you can see the ATAR scores are around 71. You can add to that a Bachelor of Commerce as well for a double degree, or a Bachelor of Laws for a double degree as well. So many options there. Combining them, of course, doing real estate and commerce gives you many opportunities to go into the business side of things, and then studying law, of course, helps you deal with transactions and asset management and disputes. The more recent addition is, of course, the double degree in construction management. So property, real estate, construction management. Part of that is done at Geelong on the waterfront campus. When we go back on campus, it's 5 years, and it makes for highly employable graduates because you cover everything in property, from the understanding of all the existing property, plus how to make new developments as well. So it's been a very popular and fantastic degree. Entry requirements are listed here, and of course all Deakin's team is available to help you understand these further. We'll have people in today to help with any queries, plus also there's a student service team available full time. For year 12, it's quite straightforward in terms of what's required. So if we just go through there, and we can see that entry for school leavers is basically based on your performance in VCE or equivalent, and there's some minimums such as 25 for English. For non-12-year applicants, it can be a little bit more varied. For example, your work experience is taken into account whereby you might have been working in real estate, say as a salesperson for a few years, and that all helps to go towards your application process. So again, if you have any queries about that, please contact the student services team, because they can guide you exactly as to what the situation is and how it works. So there is also the link, applicant portal at Deakin, and they'll be able to help you there as well. But it's quite straightforward, particularly for school leavers, and with a few questions, we can look at other options as well. A lot of our students come to us having already worked in real estate, perhaps again, as property managers or in sales, and they want to further their studies and be able to go higher. So they come to us, bring that experience, and then of course can study with that. Entry requirements, we've got that one, school leavers. Yes, again, just for if you want to do law, it becomes a little bit different if you want to do the double degree, and you can see that the entry scores can be different. And again, if you're interested in law, please do apply to Deakin, because it's quite particular and they'll be able to guide you. You'll see, for example, that you need a higher score in English if you want to study the law as well as the property. This slide is very interesting, the core areas of study. We really like to highlight here some examples of what it means you can do when you study the property degree. And different students of ours have very different interests. So we can cover a wide variety. For example, if you like to do hands-on work, be outdoors in the field and really create things, do negotiations and visions, then property development's a great one for you. A lot of our students love the idea of going and buying a bit of land, designing 3 townhouses and just seeing them come to life. Alternatively, if you're interested in property valuation, so I'm just watching the clock to make sure I don't go too long. Property valuation, then of course, this is a field that never goes out of favour. When property goes up, people want their properties revalued to see how much money they've made. When properties go down, of course, the banks want to know what the new valuation figure is to compare it to loans. Plus, of course, when there is a lot of assets under management, there's constantly an evaluation of those as well to give out dividends, etc. So whether you like desk work or outdoor work, there's lots of different options. Property investment and finance is a big one. As we know, when people apply for loans, the banks or the lenders generally want property as security against a loan. So in terms of property, it's a big part of the investment and finance world, and any property knowledge you have in the investment area is certainly valued. Property economics, we all know about property cycles. Properties go up, properties go down. We have good times, we have bad times, and the understanding of that can lead to some good jobs in property economics. Often when you watch the news, you'll see property updates and you'll see an economist talking about what's happening with the property market. Property law is also a large area of study because transactions happen and they need law. Properties owned and that needs law. Disputes come and that needs law. So again, we cover property law and give everyone an understanding of where the laws are, what they are, and how they apply to property. Then there's other areas such as property management, which is not to be down the list because that's where a lot of people will work. There's a lot of property to be managed. And for example, you might decide that one day you want to be the person to manage 101 Collins Street, but hundreds of millions of dollars of asset. You can be the person in charge of that, and that can be your job as a property manager. Sustainability increasingly comes to the fore because we know the world is facing a climate crisis, and property is actually, more so than cars or anything else, the biggest contributor to the problem. We have the most emissions, which often comes as a surprise. So if the problem is there and property is causing it, then property will be the solution. So we teach how to build properties sustainably and also how to retrofit properties. So very big part of the property. 5 years ago, we started with sustainability at a significant level, and it just keeps going up, and a lot of students now minor in sustainability. Property market analysis is important, as are these other ones, law, accounting, marketing, and economic principles. So you can see, you learn a lot in just 3 years. In terms of how it maps out, so I've just got to keep an eye on the clock because I tend to talk too much. In terms of how it maps out, you can see that in the first year you do a lot of the core units, decision-making in accounting, a bit of finance, and then of course, introduction to property and sustainable construction. So even in trimester 1, year 1, 2 of the units are very much focused on very topical issues in property. Later on, you'll do economics, law, and then of course in year 2, some valuation, investment, economics, and you start to choose more electives as you go through. One elective in year 1, 3 electives in year 2, and then 4 in year 3. So there's a lot of variety there in what you can choose. You might go down more of an economics route or a bit more towards marketing or different things. And of course, sustainability as well. You finish off with advanced units, analysis, valuation, and property, and they give you some really good experience to then take into the workplace. For example, in advanced property development, you'll be given assignments where you'll find a block of land and maybe develop 200 units. You'll design them, cost them, market them, and you'll end up with a wonderful document as your assignment that then you can then take into job interviews and show them exactly what you've done. In terms of minors, we have majors, of course, which is your double degrees, but in terms of minors, we also have these offerings here: wealth management, finance, sustainability, global studies, and economics. So it means as your electives, you can make choices, and then you'll end up with, for example, a property degree with a minor in sustainability, and that means your electives have given you a broader understanding in that area of sustainability or finance or wealth management, and you'll go off and look for work in those particular areas. So lots of opportunities to change as you go through and pick different units. And that's one of the fun things about studying, is that after first year, you start to get a bit more of a feel for what you'd like, and of course, move your studies in that direction. The double degrees are construction management, law, and commerce, as we mentioned briefly earlier. And here's an example of a bit of a breakdown of these different ones here. So for example, in construction management, you look at construction, so hands-on learning experiences, project-based problems, have great lecturers, and you offer a little bit of time at Geelong as well. Law means you get to involve yourself in the new Deakin Law Building, and also do work a lot, such as writing client reports for lawyers. So you put yourself in the position of a lawyer. So these are 5 and 4 years. So you really get the double, and you focus very intensely on all of these different areas. So wonderful double degrees to consider as well. With regard to employability, we pride ourselves at Deakin on good industry contacts. There's often jobs posted on our property sites where employers say we're looking for a valuer, we're looking for an intern, this type of thing. And that works very well for the students. So the whole course is designed to make you highly employable, to the point that a lot of our students get jobs before they even finish. We find that often, like at the end of second year, a couple of students will email us and say, hey, I'm switching from full-time to part-time because I've got a job, and off they go and start working, and they keep studying and finish their degree part-time, which is a really fantastic thing because they're combining their learning and their work at the same time and constantly developing their knowledge. So there are examples of how we justify saying this is employable are the assignments that we do. For example, we talked about the property development assignment and said you'll actually design and cost a development. Similarly, in valuation, you'll actually go out and do valuation reports. So at the end of even first year, you've already completed a valuation report of a residential house, and you've also done a sustainable retrofitting report of a house as well. So you can go out into the world and say, I can value a house and I can retrofit it sustainably. So they're really great real world experiences. We also use very good computer programs such as Estate Master, where rather than just use pens and paper and Word documents, we actually get very complex apps, and you put all your data in there and it produces the wonderful reports for you. So lots of things involved in here, all of which is designed to take you straight into the workplace. Graduate employment outcomes are many, and our students go off in many different directions. Private and government sectors, you could go for the Valuer General's office, the government, work for a very small developer, work for a very large developer like a Metricon or a Lend-Lease. You can go and do that for development and valuation. You become a property advisor, if you like, with your knowledge. You can go and do market research, which is a big growth area as well. Property investment analysis, working out how to run property funds and what their assets are and how they're changing. Become fund managers, or even help in the side of law. So there's a lot of different outcomes. So whatever your interest is generally in life, there's generally an aspect of property where you can apply that. Property is the biggest employer here in Victoria and in most other states. So we know that there is a lot of need for humans, for people. It's not all being given over to robots and artificial intelligence. It's the biggest employer, and there's a wide variety of jobs, both desk jobs and out in the field jobs. Well, as an example, if you're trying to wonder about how do you fit into this, here's an example of what it means to be a property developer. So if you're a developer, you can think of something as a bit of thin air, and you're going to make a building out of thin air. No one tells you which land to buy. No one tells you what to build. It's entirely up to you, and it can be incredibly exciting. My background was in development before I came to Deakin, and you see the thrill and the chase, and of course, you know, the stress and the worry of working in that environment, which is terribly exciting to see a vision, your own design, piece of land and a building come together and then sell it. And of course, not to go without saying that you can make a large amount of money in property development as well because of the large scale of the transactions involved. As a developer, you manage finances, do analysis, have vision, liaise with clients. It's very hands-on. There's 100 different roles and every day is different. You might do research one day, do admin the next day, and then do negotiations and be standing in an inch of water or 6 inches of water the next day on a site. So if you love a challenge, if you really understand figures and that type of thing, then a property developer is good for you. Bear in mind as well that there's very different levels of property development. There's working for yourself, there's working for big companies. There's a whole big field out there. Becoming a property valuer, that's the #1 choice of our students. Property development is #2, valuer is #1. A lot of our students love the idea of valuation, particularly of large assets. So again, coming back to what we mentioned at the start, don't think of property valuation as just working out what a 3-bedroom home is worth. Think of property valuation as, you know, what's the MCG worth? What's a vineyard worth? What's an airport worth? These are all the areas of valuation where humans are involved. We can get a computer to value all the units in the city, but an exciting day for a valuer is being called up and saying, can you please value the Sydney airport? Now that COVID struck, you've got to rush around and try and work out, has it dropped in value because of a lack of traffic? So there's a lot of things that are exciting about being a property valuer. You can estimate many buildings using a computer, if that's your area, saying I'm going to revalue this suburb for the council, or you can go and do very specific ones. There's a lot of inspections, report writing, market research, and the one good thing about a valuer is you get rewarded for experience because everything's very subjective. There's no book that tells you how much a bedroom's worth or how much a row of vines is worth. You've got to work that out, and that's what valuers love doing. They love making best estimates. Further on, with regards to what you can do out of this course, you get work ready and explore the world. Cultural engagement is very important, is a very big part of this. Volunteering, internships are available, consultancy experiences are available, all these different things. For example, aside from the ones in the picture there where when the virus is over, we can go on study tours, we now have virtual study tours. We can go virtually. Deakin's very good at working things into the online environment. So whilst we can't actually physically travel, now we can travel virtually and still gain some of those same experiences. Another good thing about Deakin and the volunteering is I have an example of a student who was with us and who was very keen on becoming engaged. She joined the student society, rose to become one of the committee members there. Then when she graduated, she joined the alumni, joined that and became on the committee there. And it was at an alumni function a few years later where we met up, and we're at the time looking for someone to help us teach our valuation unit. So naturally, the fact that she'd gone through Deakin, she'd been volunteering in students and alumni association, she had been working as a valuer for the government, was a great fit. And we're very proud to be able to offer her a job in our unit MMP 222, I think it is, where she now helps us and does lecturing and tutoring. So again, Deakin offers all these opportunities. If you join in and you embrace this situation, you can get a long way through these sorts of extracurricular activities. You'll meet Jen if you join up. She's a wonderful lecturer. Travel the world, faculty-led programs, go and have a whole trimester abroad, short-term partner programs. These are some things that students love to do, often get great feedback, and particularly if you do it over the summer school. So, you know, the trimester 3, it's a great time to, when the study load's a bit less, you can go and pick a unit and go off and study abroad. Very different places, including Japan and Vietnam. I believe Vietnam was added to the list, and Japan, of course. And basically travel the world and learn about how property is the same and also how the property is different in different cultures. Deakin doesn't work in a bubble. We make sure that we have validity to everything that we do. The reason behind that is that As a graduate, then you have confidence to say that you've been through a university which is up to certain standards. So the names API and RICS probably don't mean a lot to the lay person. It's very much property specific. But what it means by being accredited is that the Australian Property Institute and RICS are always about maintaining high standards, not just for universities, but for every part of the industry. And so by joining in there as a university, we also can meet those standards. And they're constantly improving and changing. So we have meetings every week with these groups and they say you need to focus more on sustainability, for example, or you need to focus more on writing industry standard reports in an online form. And whatever it is that's the world's moving towards, this is what these groups follow and they ask us to do that as well. So Deakin, we work very hard to get this accreditation. There's lots of meetings and lots of boxes to check, but the end result is that it's a positive to have it and we can pass those benefits on to you as well, where you can be assured that this is not just a whimsical bit of study, but it's well regulated and it's always going to the high standards. And the high standards are within the industry. So when you go into the industry, that's the levels that we've been aiming towards. And so you'll find yourself ready to work at that level. So it's a wonderful thing, API, particularly API with regards to valuation. If you want to do valuation, that's where you'll get your final bit of accreditation from. So you go to Deakin, you do the degree, 2 years of work after that, and then go back to API and say, I've done my 2 years of work and my degree, and you can sort out your valuation accreditations there. And RICS is an international group, so good to know that we're meeting international standards. With regard to pathways, there's many different ways to get into the course. So if you have any concerns, just call out and discuss it with one of the team there. The most common one, of course, is VCE and meet the score and get in that way. But there's many other ways as well, such as entering to another degree into Deakin and moving across the property, going through Deakin College or through TAFE and different places. So whatever your circumstances are, it's worth checking and finding out how the path would work for you and get yourself into the property degree. That, of course, sometimes give you credits as well. If you come through another degree, you might get credits against property, and that can work well in your favour as well. To keep in mind also, for those students who are not straight out of school, there is the option of postgraduate studies. Well, if you already have a degree or you've got lots of work experience, rather than the 3-year degree, you might like to do postgraduate course, which offers much the same as undergraduate, but just a shortened version, and then you end up with a diploma rather than a degree. So again, we have lots of experienced property professionals who've maybe been in the workforce, got to a point of their career where the boss has tapped them on the shoulder and said, look, you're doing a great job, but you need a bit of paper work, you need a degree to expand your knowledge base a bit from what you've picked up already, get that, and then you'll be ready for a promotion. So at Deakin, it's all about success, and it's not about here's a degree or here's a unit, see if you can pass. It's about here's a unit and here's the help that we offer you to pass it. So it's really wonderful. There's clubs and societies which helps you, to fit in and enjoy it. There's graduate recruitment services, mentor programs, which can be fantastic. Say, for example, you don't feel comfortable with maths, you just go and get a mentor in maths. There's medical centres, student hubs, academic skill help, such as report writing, Deakin talent counselling, which is good at times like now with the COVID, and peer-assisted study sessions. There's also your lecturers and tutors always there to help you as well. With regard to Deakin talent, that's the Deakin link into industry, whereby they post ads, they help you with resumes, and they really prepare you for the workplace. So again, if you get started in your degree, you can approach them and find out how the systems will work, and towards the end of your degree, link in and maybe even get access to a job there. So here we can see online study support services. Even though we're all online at the moment from the pandemic, everything's still available because Deakin's set up that way. There's maths help, exam help, preparing for study help, English language development, assignment types, the differences between essays and reports, for example, all the different writing and reference styles. People often worry about referencing, but there's no need to worry about referencing because all the tools are there to help you. And then there's new to Deakin, a whole guide there in the PowerPoint on the right about uni start, how to begin an assignment, how to submit, etc. So again, there's no secrets and there's no hidden hurdles. It's all about what do you need to help. Someone might be struggling with language and that can really help them along. Other people might be used to writing essays at school and then now need to learn how to write reports. So there's help for that as well. So There's all different aspects taken care of. Deakin Talent programs and services available on the campus and the cloud. Again, whatever you might need, we should have something there ready for you as well. So Deakin Talent is a separate part of Deakin, not linked just to the property, but it's available to all students. So available on campus and cloud, career success resources, career coaching, resume and job application review. So that's a wonderful thing to help you get your resume right. Talent programs, employer events where we have big meetings and all the employees come to us. So the idea of Deakin is not to keep you in an academic bubble. It's to give you all the information that's needed for industry and then help you to connect to industry and head out that way. Deakin is a leader, of course, in online, which you may have come across already and realized, because they started 40 years ago. They didn't start 40 years ago with online learning. Of course, there was no online 4 years ago. But that was what you call distance education, CDs in the mail and different things. But at the moment, best to know that we've had 40 years of practice of helping students at a distance, and that's given us these high rankings. So all units are available online. You can use Deakin Sync to connect with all your teachers all the time. And there's also all the software that's needed. Everything comes to you through Deakin Sync. That's our tool, and it's available no matter where you are and what time of the day you're studying. So really good to know that. We didn't jump into it when the virus came. Deakin's been ahead of the game and working on this for a very long time. So you can see how it looks there. It's all very user-friendly. You log in, all your units are there, your resources are there, your communication tools are there, and it's all nicely laid out and in color, so you can really easily follow all of your 4 units. And of course, correspond with your teaching staff. You've got emails in there. You've got login to the library. So the library's there, and there's a lot of staff behind that tab there. Access to your unit sites, connect with support if and when needed, find services. And by an example of how it looks, Deakin discussion board is like this. That's one of my units, advanced property development. You can see there, Tash was asking about commercial real estate perspective on something, and so we answered her there. A business case for sustainability, Holly was asking about that, we answered her, and Star was asking about environmental impact statements. So you post a question and the staff will answer it for you on the discussion board. It's all public for everyone to see, and it works well. You can read other students' answers as well. So just to finish off, because I've got a minute to go, why choose Deakin? Deakin is ranked 5-star. It's in the top 1% of universities worldwide, and #1 for student satisfaction in Victoria for 8 years in a row. So that's based on student feedback. So it's wonderful to know that the students are happy with what's happening. So lots of positives about joining Deakin and getting online. So I hope you can join us for your live Q&A session. I'll be there, one of our students will be there, and the Deakin student team will be there. So we're able to answer all your questions, hear all your comments, and guide you as to where you might want to connect up and take it further as well. So thank you very much. I think that's the last slide. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to hearing your questions and hope to see you in a property class at Deakin as well. Thank you.